to Awakening Wednesday. I'm so grateful and thankful that you're here online and in person. It is so nice, and we have our beloved Al handling the sound for us tonight. So as we always do on Wednesday, we embrace the world and we send out a blessing to awaken all of us to the absolute truth that in this very moment, God is. That as we expand in 2022 to recognize that God is bigger than what God was for us in 2021. So we have an opportunity to embrace, to step into, and to know that this day, this moment, we commune with the Holy Presence. We awaken to our higher self, to that self that we have only felt, and we step into the arena of moving forward, of moving into a place where spirit is, where we are, where the bigness of all of life that is, for we are the light of the world. So as we get ready to sing our song, I am a light, I am a light, I am a light of this world. Am a light, I am a light, I am a light in this world, and I shine. Oh yeah, I am a light, I am a light, I am a light in this world. I am a light, I am a light, I am a light in this world, and we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. Oh, we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. You are a light, you are a light, you are a light in this world. You are a light, you are a light, you are a light in this world, and you shine, oh you shine, and you shine so bright. Yes, you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. We are a light, we are a light, we are a light in this world. Oh, yes. So tonight, we are talking about unfamiliar thoughts for 2022, the unfamiliar. Yeah. When this topic came through, unfamiliar thoughts, I didn't want to do new thoughts. We've done that. It's like the new year, new me, da 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 da, which I realized was a repetitive conversation. That it's funny, we do it every new year. The whole setup, the resolutions, it's a new year, it's a new me, it's a new you, and really forgetting that every day the universe is new. Every day. I remember waking up when I lived in Ojai, and in the middle of our yard we had a orange blossom tree. And all that winter, the tree was barren. And I woke up this morning and it was filled with flowers, with buds. And I thought, well, that didn't happen when I went to sleep. Every day, this process had been taking place. And so when this came to me, unfamiliar thinking, I've charged myself with the opportunity not to change what I thought from last year, but to learn a different way of thinking for this new year. So to help me with that, because where do you start? How do you start that? I've started using different simple things, like if I'm right-handed. So normally I grab things with my right hand. So I catch myself and go, oh, wait a minute, what would happen if I grabbed it with my left hand? And even with putting on my makeup, I notice I go to the right. I just started noticing how I'm so repetitive in everything that I'm doing. And I was like, oh, so what if you start with the left eye? There was some uncomfortableness in this process. And as I put that together with, I have a relationship with God, just like I know you have a relationship with God. But I'm wanting that relationship to deepen. And so sometimes when we're stuck in this space of doing the things we've always done, thinking the way we've always done, you see the God you've always known. And I'm like, I know God is much bigger than what my little world can conceive. But it's there. It's in those moments that you get that intuitive thought to do something. And when you follow it, it's like, yeah. And when you don't, it's like, well, why didn't I? Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes, for me, I go, I didn't have time. It's like, how do you don't have time to follow a thought? Just briefly, I live here in North Park, and I love my building, but I don't have a parking space. And so my neighbor, right after Thanksgiving, moved out. And most of the people in my building own their units, or condominiums, or whatever they're calling them. And so she moved in with her boyfriend. And I remember when I saw her, she was by herself. She has a dog and a cat, and so that's how our communication would work around them. I was joking with her, something that my grandmother would always say, baby, you can't trust a man always. You got to have a little something on the side for yourself. That old school thinking, And so when I saw her, and she was saying they have a house, and I saw her glee, and I said, that's so wonderful. And I said, but, that's your place. She said, that's right. I said, you got to make sure you take care of that. And so she had a parking space. But not knowing when she would come or when she was going to be there, or when they were doing work on it, I started to play a game with Spirit. I go, okay, God. Sometimes it would be late. I was like, parking space is empty, but I know I don't want to get up early in the morning. But all right, is this the time? And there were times I clearly felt it was like, yep, parked there, sometimes 2-3 days. Nothing. I was like, hey. Just recently, Sunday, I was going to park there. And I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. And I didn't. Well, sure enough, she came in Sunday night. And she's been there for like 3-4 days. I'm hoping that something didn't happen. But what I realized was that the intuitive presence, even with a parking space, was taking place. But I have to participate, meaning that my willingness to listen, my willingness to trust what I was feeling. I'm a huge proponent of feeling. What I felt. I could feel when it's like, oh, it's cool. Now I'd put a little note there because that's the human part of me. It was like, just in case. I don't want to get my car towed. And then I would laugh, it's like, is that the conversation that you want with spirit? Nope, that's not it. And so all of that leading to this space of unfamiliar thinking that I am celebrating that we have an opportunity because the world is so different than what I grew up in and maybe what you grew up in. And there are tendencies to say, oh, I want it to go back to the way it was, only because it was comfortable for you. Doesn't necessarily mean that it was something that you flourished in. Taking this journey down unfamiliar things, I'm going to show you some pictures in a little bit, but I realized that, you know, at one point, people believed the world was flat. They were convinced. So can you imagine the person that first said the world is round? That was a very unfamiliar conversation. Was like, no, 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 no. And so we are at a new world. We are in a new awakening. And it requires all of us. Families and friends have parted because we haven't found a way to communicate, to understand that there is room for all at the table. And yes, the table has changed, and it can't go back. And we see people trying diligently to go back to a place that did not support life for all. And it's fear-based. It's a way of thinking that, no, I have to have. You're going to take from me. And so in 2022, as the political climate is everywhere, as racism is very up and present and requiring, as equality is on the table for all, for men, for women, as our world is calling out to us to start thinking differently, to start recognizing God in a much bigger way. Because I believe that all of this is changing. And in the chaos, there are beautiful things that have been awakened. You know, the pandemic has brought many wonderful things. I'm a huge fan of technology, except for when it doesn't work. Okay, I know, everybody. But without the technology of where we are now, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. The pandemic would have been triple-fold. The separation would have been massive. But we found a way. We were, because of people thinking differently, unfamiliar, we were ready. See, there were people that had ideas about being able to create visions where you could see somebody across the world through a phone. And you could talk to them before we knew that this was happening. It's mind-blowing when you think about how technology, there's been many other ways. The animal life has just beautifully expanded profoundly in this pandemic. Because as much as we like to think that we are good neighbors, we're not good neighbors all the time. Now, I am a person that believes that the animals are here to contribute as well. So I believe we're all in this together, but this is calling forth for us to have a better way of understanding our animals and how we can participate. I remember reading a story about the whales, that mama whale and baby whale, before the pandemic, mama whale could not go that far because of all of the motion and commotion in the ocean that we were generating, that was happening. She couldn't go off and find food enough to feed the whale, her baby whale. But during the pandemic, because everything was so quiet, and it was like 3 miles she could go further, which is amazing, absolutely amazing. And so crossing this threshold, so I play this game now. If I walk a certain way to my car, I'm like, oh, what if I change it? And it's about recognizing in the moment. Because what I have found, that the more I change what I'm consistently doing, I start seeing things that I hadn't seen before. And that's the tip of starting to hear things differently. You know, it's Reverend Kevin talked about how, be it your partner or somebody in your family, a story could take place, and then when the two of you are sharing it, it's two totally different stories. Because you heard from your perspective of where that story was coming from, wherever you were, and so did they. And I love that he shared this beautiful tool to, when you remember in the moment, he called God, I think, divinity. Sometimes I call God well-being. And so well-being, take the breath in, well-being, and releasing here and now. And so I would say, to add with that, that when you stop and take that moment, whether it's source, here and now, and then change your course. If you were headed straight, turn left. If you were turning right, turn left, or maybe turn around and go back the other way. If you were eating with your right hand, try it with your left. All of these things will push you out of your familiar way of doing things. And you may be really surprised at what may unfold for you. To think outside the box, we think about some of our great inventors. They thought about things that a lot of the majority did not. And when you read stories about the men, women, or as children, they were all big daydreamers. They all daydreamed a lot about things that, my brother was a huge daydreamer in school. My mother was not happy. He daydreamed a lot in school. And so some of the stories he would come home and tell me, Gino, and I thought I did daydreaming, but he was really out there. And I find that his way of dealing with things is so simplistic that it's very rare that he totally loses it. With my niece and nephews, some of them decided not to get vaccinated. And I remember we were having a conversation about it. And I said, Jadelle, you know they could die. And he said, Gino, this is their path. He said, I've expressed to them. And he was so calm. I've expressed to them their options. He said, now I have to let them do that. And we were talking on the phone, and there was silence, and he said, and I'm not going to waste time being upset about it. And I was like, oh, that's their father. I'm the aunt. So if their father can reach a point of peace to recognize, and you know, we all do this work all the time, but different things trigger us. And I tell you, when you start doing things differently, you will get triggers. My mind says, well, that's not the right way to do it, you know. I'm like, well, you're not left-handed, so you can't do that. You start to hear all of the incessant conversation about what you are or what you're not doing. You also hear how it's not going to benefit you in the future, or how if you did it in the past. It's amazing to start observing the thoughts that you're thinking that are familiar, that you say, oh, okay, then this has to be the right way. Where we are as a country, as a people, we've never been before. We are in an entirely, this is Star Trek, baby. This is Star Trek in its pure essence. This is the Matrix. And wherever you are on your path, you have the opportunity to take a moment and start observing what you are contributing. Your frequency is going out daily. I wanted to share, I found this online. I thought, how cool is this? This is a religion called Happy Science Religion. Thought not particularly unusual in belief, the recognition of this as a real religion is confounding. The Happy Science religion was established by a Japanese man, Waiko Okawa, who believes his mission to bring happiness to all of humanity. It became an official religion in 1991 and has over 12 million followers. I was like, wow. A religion called Happy Science Religion. I love that science is in there as well. Because I think for me that the happiness is very much a part of it, just in New Thought thinking and New Thought teachings. A lot of people, myself included, came from different religions. I came from a Catholic background. And there were things that you were taught that I had to unteach myself. But as I was going through this, what I recognized was that there was a pulling, there was a call, that there was something greater. That, not that, well, I did think something was wrong with the Catholic religion. I'm sorry. But what I realized now is that I was outgrowing it as a kid. I could not understand. I got a 3-day suspension because in religion class, I was a pretty animated child. But in religion class, I gave my understanding that, listen, I'm going to come here to earth. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And then right before I die, I'm going to say some Hail Marys, some Our Fathers, and I'm going over into purgatory. I said, you know what they're going to do? They're going to screw up my little wings, and then I'm going to fly over into heaven. I said, so what is the incentive here to do anything good? Get out, Gino. But I was really, because I didn't believe in a devil. I never have. That was the other thing. I was like, if you tell me that God is all that there is, and God made the devil, how can the devil ever outpower God? It's impossible. I just couldn't get it as a kid. And so I remember my mother saying to me, do you have a degree? It's like, what? Do you have a degree? Because I'm paying them to get you that, and they have a degree. So I had to adhere to what I was participating in. But it never left my spirit. And so when I found New Thought, I was like, ugh. This was an unfamiliar thought for my family. This was something, Gino, is that a cult? We have them all the time. I'm just saying now that now is the practice to practice thinking differently. Not to change your thinking, but to start literally practice thinking differently. And by changing the way I grab a door, I'm practicing something differently. The moment I observe that, oh, wait a minute, I can do it with my left hand. I was standing at this curb and I was like, okay, normally I would put my right foot up. I'm gonna put my left foot up. Okay, all right, look at that, look at that. It's a practice. like anything else. The most unusual religion, and this is, hold your breath, it's a little, I was like, I don't know if I should share this one. Ritual is called baby throwing. Okay, now it's the Gershnishwar Temple in Indian state of Maharashtra is the site of a very unusual and potentially dangerous religious ritual. As the name suggests, babies between the ages of 1 and 2 are thrown from a 50-foot tower with men positioned beneath to catch the babies on a sheet. The belief is that the babies, wait a minute, make sure I have the right one here. Yeah, the belief is that the babies they'll be more intelligent, luckier. I guess you'd be pretty lucky if you're the ones get caught. Healthier. Now, check this out. This ceremony has been, it's over 700 years old. And still in today's time, there are some families that participate. That's unfamiliar thinking. That's some different kind of thing going on right there. So I put that in, and there's another one, because unfamiliar thinking doesn't always mean that it may be the best thought for you. But unless you're able to trust and explore, how do you know? Can you imagine the fear that people felt that believed with all sincerity that the world was square? That when these people started saying, no, the world is round, you can't fall off the world, that the trauma in their body had to be traumatic, because this is what they'd been taught, this is what they believed. To us now, it seems absolutely ridiculous. Although there was a basketball player, I won't even say his name, I'm still upset with him, that he thought the world was square. And just a year ago, he said this. Unfamiliar thinking. Unfamiliar thinking. So in this journey of thinking differently, of opening doors that maybe you would not, if you're a person that, I have a couple of friends that everything has to be in the right place, if it's moved, and I was that little gremlin, I would move stuff, and they would lose it. They would totally lose it. You know, it's a great time to observe what that energy is behind that. We have this beautiful opportunity because the world is calling for us to be new. We can't bring the old thoughts into this new world thinking that it's going to change the world. It's not. Our systems are old systems that no longer, nor did they ever really support us, but we believed that they did. But they did not. Sky burials. Sky burials were an exclusive and unusual religious ceremony in Tibet. The practice involved dissecting the deceased body and scattering the pieces on a mountaintop to decompose or be consumed by birds. Most Tibetans follow Buddhist traditions, which dictate the human body is merely a vessel and can be discarded. Thus, why the practice was popular. The practice was ultimately outlawed, but can still be performed with the family's permission. So it does beg to differ. If I believe that this is a vessel that I'm in. Some people would call it sacrilege to do that to a body. But it's like, well, I don't believe that I'm in this body. I remember someone asking me, Gino, have you gone to the gravesite to visit your mother? I said, she's not there. It's just some bones there. What are you talking about? I visit her in here. We have conversations in here. And I had that conversation with her. We had different things about that. She believed in going to the gravesite. She would go visit my grandmother and grandfather And my brother did too. I was like, they're not there. I'm not going. And for her, she thought that was disrespectful. But there was a change that took place with my mother as she was making her journey home. That I remember her being in the hospital. And before, if I had anyone to come to her to talk about doing healing vibration, to move energy, she would have said, I don't want that stupid stuff around me. She had no understanding of it or appreciation. But I remember we were she was in the hospital, and we were talking, and she said, Gino, I think I finally realized that until I love myself, I really couldn't love anybody else. And I said, wow, Mama. I said, does that mean you don't, always acting crazy, does that mean you don't love me? And she said, no, silly. She said, but it means that as I love myself more, I can love you even greater. She said, so I'd like to experience what it feels like to have energy move, if that's something that I can feel. And that was huge. And I had a practitioner come. They had a beautiful relationship for the remaining time that my mom was in her body. She would come every week, and my mother looked forward to it. And it was this beautiful shift that took place. So I just really want us to understand that unfamiliar thinking, we don't have to be afraid of our own different thoughts, because keeping them pushed down, it doesn't take the thought away. It actually increases the vibration of that thought. So if there is something that you're afraid of, that you feel fearful of, being able to talk that out with someone, being able to recognize or even to write it out and say, this is a thought that has been running, this energy has been running in me. And if that energy is running in you, I guarantee you it's running in your life. It is. Now, I want to show you some pictures. These were some things that I found. As I got on this kick of unfamiliar, I was like, wow. It just was like this whole world opened up. Unfamiliar words, and they were words like conclusion. I was like, wow, conclusion. Who would have thought that conclusion? But I guess when conclusion first came about, it got me to thinking. As a word is birth. It's a new word for people. It's a new expression. I share this a lot. Beyonce got bootylicious in the dictionary. Bootylicious is in the Webster dictionary. That word, and pretty much everybody knows when I say bootylicious. They know what we're talking about. It's like, how powerful is that this word has given birth, and it has meaning. It has, it's recognized. And so words too that were unfamiliar. There were so many. I was like, okay, just recognizing that everything that we look at, that we see, it had a birthing place. And in order for it to come forward, it had to come through us. It had to come through a mind that was open to receive it, to even if it couldn't understand how to do it. It at least had to accept that this is something that's possible, that you could give birth to. How exciting is that? That we are in this time and space, that we have this opening to give birth to something very new, to give birth in such a way that it changes the world that your children will grow up in, and their children will grow up in. I'm excited to be here in this time. And all of us contribute. Those that do not want to change and those that do, all of it is a part of it. So, wait a second. Let's get the technology happening. Let's share these pictures. This is the red crab migration. Christmas Island, Australia, is the location of great crab migration. And around October and November, they head to the ocean to give birth. Thousands of them in Australia. It's quite amazing to see that. This is Lake Retba. This lake is in Senegal. It turns red because the algae in the lake is absorbed by the light. How beautiful is that? The lake is red in color. It almost reminds me of the red clay in Louisiana. This is a spotted, this is the tree that's it's called the Happy Valley tree. And it's located in Hong Kong. It looks like the pattern of a brick. Can you see that? It's grown like that. It's amazing. This is Morakia boulder. This boulder is in New Zealand. It occurred in a cluster from a wave. And the wave of the erosion of the wave, this boulder gave birth. I'm like, wow, that's unfamiliar. This is a spotted lake. The spots in this Canadian lake are the result of evaporation and mineral deposits. The natural essence of spirit is just amazing. Look at this one, next one. It's a rainbow eucalyptus tree. How cool is that? This type of eucalyptus tree occurs in the northern hemisphere. It grows 6 feet and 200 feet wide. It's huge. And, it's used for paper a lot. They make paper out of it. This is beautiful. This is called Watoma Glowworm Caves. You can actually take a guided boat tour through these amazing New Zealand caves. These glowworms, called Arachnacampa, only exist in New Zealand. And this is kind of hard to see, but that's an ocean. It's lit up. It's called Glowing Waves. You can actually take a guided boat tour through these amazing New Zealand caves. And this ocean, wait a minute, did I get it twice? Yeah, I think I did. That's ocean, they're little fishes that come up on, and they're not the same ones that we have here. This here is called the Door to Hell. Why is fire and hell always matched? It's a natural gas field in part of the Turkish hills. The rich natural gas deposits were lit in 1971 by a Soviet petroleum engineer. The fields emit a strong smell of sulfur. Just amazing. Really quite amazing. And so in looking at that, I was like, there's so many things in earth that are different. I remember being in Puerto Rico, and we were at this amazing resort that I was performing at. And it was just beautiful. Puerto Rico is one of those places that there's third world living. Could be right outside the resort, but that resort was spectacular. And every day, right about 6 o'clock, you'd hear music, little singing. And one of the other girls on the tour looked at me and said, "Oh, I hate that happens. It's just so Disneyland." I was like, "Oh, I like the music, though. It was cool." But I understood about Disneyland, how it's just programmed, that pre-programmed. And so on the last day that I'm there, as I'm leaving, I go to the gift shop. And in there, they have all of these frogs. I mean, there's frogs everywhere. Little ones, small ones, big ones. I was like, what is up with all the frogs? And the guy starts laughing. He said, they sing every day. He said, that's what you hear at 6 o'clock. As soon as the sun starts to go down, they sing. I was like, oh my God. I didn't know they had singing frogs. So, there are many stories like that. So I want to say in this closing, we are being called. You, me, you. We're being called to live life from a whole nother perspective. If you catch yourself saying, this is the way I used to do it, this is how it used to be done, know that you have blocked the bigness of God. That you are saying that I'm afraid to keep expanding because God is bigger. God is bigger than what is happening on this earth right now. This divine planet is here for this. I can't imagine what it was like when the dinosaurs were here, but it was a purpose. And we are on purpose. I believe that. In all of the pain and the frustration and the chaos, we are on purpose. And that requires that I participate, not from who I was yesterday, but who I am today. And not from who I could possibly be tomorrow, but who I am today. So your commitment to yourself, your commitment to, as my mother said, love herself deeper. Your commitment to love yourself deeper. Your commitment to know that your God is bigger than last year. God is so much bigger than last year. And that we have an opportunity. And so if you play the game, if I'm left-handed, try things with your right hand. If, some people, with food, I don't want to eat that. Well, have you tried it? No. You may like it or you may not. But what I really want you to hear is that we need your imagination. We need your creative thought. We need your unfamiliar thought. Each of us, we need that because that is going to expand us all globally. That's creating a world without borders. That's creating a world that lives in a consciousness of high frequency. Who would have thunk 3 years ago we would be able to talk about meditation and being in the blissful state on national TV when Oprah started having those type of conversations? Who would have thunk it? We know we had family members that said, oh, you with the rose-colored glasses? I'm a realist. But now, meditation, in parts of China, they've been meditating in corporate world for a long time. But now, here in America, companies are doing it. Why? Because it was an out-of-the-thought process that is working. And they saw generations, and there were people that held to that. There were people at their desks that took time to just meditate. And people started recognizing that the way they do their work and their efficiency improved tenfold. So trust your imagination. Trust your infinite possibility. And start feeling the unfamiliar thought. So when you remember, take the breath. Breathe in, source, if you call God source, light, God, whatever you call. Let that air out and say here and now and change your course. If you're going to make a phone call, if it's divine intuition, it'll come through. If you're going to read a book, put it in your other hand. Just start to shift how you are now, to play with the universe and see how the universe plays back with you. I'm so grateful and thankful for each of you for being here, for trusting this divine opportunity to be in this space and to participate with us as we are a community that's expanding, that's growing, and that requires us all. So this is our conscious giving time. Let's see here. This works well except for this little hesitation thing. This is our conscious giving time. And so Universal Spirit Center, I want you to know that I appreciate all that you do, that each of you, that how you give out, how you support us, because as you support your community, us, we support the world. And I am grateful for each and every one of you, through your tithes, through your time, through your talent, through your volunteering, through whatever way that you do give. I appreciate you. And now, let us get ready for our second song. Always interesting little thing. Let's try this and see. I am a light, I am a light, I am a light in this world. I am a light, I am a light, I am a light in this world. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright, and I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. You are a light, you are a light, you are a light in this world. You are a light, you are a light, you are a light in this world. And you shine, oh you shine, yes you shine so bright. Oh you shine, yes you shine, oh you shine so bright. We are a light, we are a light, we are a light in this world. We are a light, we are a light, we are a light in this world. And we shine, oh we shine, and we shine so bright. Oh we shine, yes we shine, and we shine so bright. Well, look at there. This time I was with the track. Fantastic. So let me share with you what's going on at Universal Spirit Center. Here we go. Our movie of the month, 12 Years a Slave. So those of you who know, we do a movie of the month. That's part of our racial equality project of helping us expand and learn about slavery and inequality. And this time we are going to watch it on our own. You can rent it through Hulu. You can, I think, on YouTube. Prime, Amazon also you can rent it. And then on the 21st, January the 21st, we will come together via our Zoom on our webpage, universalspiritcenter.org. Go to our community Zoom, just tap on that, and we'll discuss. I'm getting ding ding, my attention got lost. We will discuss the movie. Our racial equality call to action this month. We are asking people to take time out and take a beautiful stroll on Harbor. I think it's 325 South Harbor downtown. It's the Martin Luther King Promenade. And you'll see about 30 different plaques that Martin Luther King, words that he spoke. Also ending at the chains, Breaking the Chains, which was created by Mel Edwards, which was a beautiful contribution to slavery. It's quite a phenomenal piece. And let's see here. A day in history. This is really beautiful and powerful. We do a day in history now, and I love the way Lee Armentrout does it because it can be pretty powerful. This particular one, these are the things that you forget when you're doing a little bit of everything. But I want to share, oh, wait a minute. Where I just saw it. What this one says. So every Sunday we do a day in history, and I know what it's about. This one is about one of the ships called Fair America, ironic, that had 100 African slaves shipped to Charleston. In, I think it's 1871, it happened on January the 7th, 1916. What time? What? 1607. Oh, look, I can read that right there. A ship named Fair American delivered 88 trafficked Africans into Charleston, South Carolina. On January the 7th, 1807, a U.S. registered trafficking vessel delivered 88 kidnapped and enslaved American passengers into Charleston, South Carolina. The ship named Fair America, which is ironic, originally kidnapped 101 Africans from Isles de Los, an island chain off the coast of contemporary Conakry, Ghana, in West Africa. However, nearly 15% of these forced passengers perished on the grueling trip across the Atlantic. So, as Lee would say, just take a breath at this moment. You know, I love sharing the day in history because in order to know our past, in order to not continue to keep creating that energy, we have to be aware. And we all have not all been taught the history of our country. This is not the history of black people. This is the history of America. And it's something that we need to know. So as we take the breath into that, recognizing that this is the time now that this unfamiliar thinking really plays a big part, where we position God in a very big place and allow the new creative ideas to come through. So with that, take a deep breath in. And as we get ready to bid you adieu, I want you to know that I thank you and appreciate you, and thank you for coming in. How sweet. This was an awesome surprise. And for all of you that come and share with us every Wednesday, I appreciate you. Next week is Kitchen Conversations, and it is also part of the celebration of Martin Luther King. So we will do something around that, and I look forward to seeing you then. Until then, know that you are a light, that you are a divine blessing, and that without you, the world just wouldn't be the same. Peace and blessings.